the best DC sports coverage around. Episode 222 about to come to you live. CP3 from the lab, Robbie G from the Man Cave, coming at you live.
By CP3. Beats by CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network. CP3 coming to you live from the lab, bringing you the best DC sports coverage around. We got a full show. We got some Capitals starting the show out, of course, as always. 2-2. We got the Nationals who went 4-3. Then the surprising Washington Wizards went 4-0. I had to do a double take on that one. But Robbie, I know you guys are going to have a great NBA roundtable breaking those 4 games down. How are you doing tonight in the Man Cave, sir?
Doing okay. Of course, technical difficulties trying to do 3 things at once right now. The Facebook isn't working, so I'm trying to fix that right now. But hopefully we're live here on Twitch. I'll check that in a second. Oh, shoot. I gotta...
I told you, man, we got so much going on the technical side. You guys have no idea to all of the stuff we have going on behind the scenes. So, yeah, you got to bear with us sometimes, doing new technology. Robbie streaming live on Twitch now. He's
It just tried to go live on Facebook on the wrong account, which is the problem. So I have to fix that. So, anyway, so Carol, why don't you do the intro while I fix this real quickly, and then
go ahead, handle
I will join you in 1 second.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some of that Washington football team news. I guess not team news since he's no longer with the team, but Alex Smith officially retired today. There's been a lot of questions about it. We were talking about behind the scenes about, why wouldn't he retire with the team and save the team money? And Dugenet broke it down very well. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I could find that message that because me and Robbie were having a great discussion about it, not knowing how it would affect the salary cap with them releasing him in the dead cap money. But our great correspondent, Dugenet, who will be doing the show Thursday night, 9 o'clock, we'll be doing a Washington football team off-season and pre-draft special, as always, so tune in. We'll be streaming live, as always. But his impact says Smith's retirement has no impact on the 2021 cap, since they terminated his contract back in March. He's currently counting 8.2 against the cap. That would have been 10.8, but they received a $2.6 million credit from the insurance policy they took out on Smith. So for all the folks that's, questioning that, boom, there you go right there. So the team still is had the 3rd highest amount of spending money in the free agency. So Got the draft right around the corner. You know, Dugenais is going to bring some great prospects to the table that, I don't follow college, but he's down there in the SEC country seeing these kids up close and personal. So, we're going to break it all down the way we do every offseason for the Washington football team. What other news? What you got?
I salvaged it. Hold on. I'm going to also grab my headphones in a second. I didn't grab that before. I was more concerned of getting all that fixed, but I think we're live, and I haven't even checked Twitch yet, so I'm sorry if anyone's twitching out there. I'll get back to you right now. But yeah, so of course, Facebook chooses now to change their live streaming setup. Sort of trying to do something new on a different platform. So yeah, it's fun times, but it's not too bad. It was a good week though for DC sports, so we can break that down real quickly. If anyone wants to check out sportsothp.com, we've got the latest update. On Saturday, we had one of the best sports days in DC history, where we had 4 different DC sports teams win, and so I broke that down quickly. We'll actually touch on all 4 of those games at some point tonight in all 4 of our segments. So tonight we're going to have our first one with 4 different sports. We're going to start off with our Caps talk in just a second here, and then we're going to talk about this Nats, who are right now down 11-2, but then we're also going to talk about these Wizards, which are unfortunately kind of falling apart here in the second quarter, but they're still up 59-58 over OKC in this live game. So we've got 2 live games going on, which is always exciting. And we've got a 2-2 week for the Capitals. We had a 4-3 week for the Nationals, so that's a winning record. The DC United went 1-0, right? So they had a winning record. And the Wizards actually have won all their games leading up into this one. So it's been a good week for DC sports. And so at least I get to talk about all that. And I think the technical difficulties are behind us. So I apologize if the audio version might be missing the first moment or 2 of this podcast, but we'll work around it. So, Carol, so are we done talking about the Alex Smith and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much nothing else to talk about. I mean, he was already not on the team. He was in free agency testing the market to see if, he would still play. Maybe him and his family talked about it and they changed their mind. Maybe he didn't get the money he wanted or the attention he wanted from the different teams. So he decided to retire. We're moving forward. He's, got a nice bank account where he can do whatever he wants for the rest of his life and his family be taken care of. So it's time to move forward. Draft right around the corner, baby.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to waste too much time. I'm sorry with the short technical difficulties to start it, but let's bring in Anna. We can talk some of this hockey. Some good, some bad, 2-2 week, but I'm excited to break it down.
It's okay. You can refer to me as the technical difficulty.
No, not only you. There's plenty of blame to go around. So we did try to replace Piranha for anyone who wants to know the background of that, but we'll deal with that another day. But I'm really happy with the new guy that we got. Yeah, so if anybody, real quick, little plug for our merch store. I just put up a brand new design on the merch. I come up with this new idea. Whenever he scores, I call it a manta ray, right? He shoots the manta ray, right? And
yeah.
So I designed. I've been a big fan of manta rays, so I designed a manta ray cross hybrid. So if you want to support the show and have a brand new red shirt, with number 39 on it, he's the first Capital in history to score a goal in his first 4 games. So
I love it. I truly don't have anything bad to say about the guy. Like he came in strong. He's obviously got chemistry with the team. I like the number. Yeah, he's just and that 6'5", like he's gonna be one to watch, and I'm super stoked he's on our team. Like truly, like he has just shown his best out there. He's not. Not trying to be a star, not trying to take over, not dropping the gloves at all. Although I don't know who would go up against him, but I think he's been great. And what a way to come out. 4 games, 4 goals, got the assist in there. He's just as much as I love Ron, and then I hate to say it's like one for the other, but at this point, good luck to Ron in Detroit. I know he scored in his first game, but like, let's go with Mantha and these moving forward with the Caps. I'm super happy with it.
Yeah.
That line with him and Wilson is
It's sick.
that's a crazy line right there because they can
for the second power play, right? So I just wanted to, because they're not on the same line on the regular, the lineup, because they're both, one on one line, one on the second. But on the power play, they're lethal as a second. That's where we've seen them most play together.
Yeah.
On that second power play.
It's just I love the way he plays. He's physical and he has skill. He has a hell of a reach, and he covers ground well. And he plays a 200-foot game. He doesn't take off in any zones. He's always playing, and that's what you want, and that's what you need for your team to be successful. And it's just going to trickle down through all four lines when they see other folks. It motivates them, and it gets them wanting to do the same thing. So, like I say, we're getting close to the end of the season and postseason. So this is the right time for them to start getting that chemistry and getting that feel for each other. And like I say,
absolutely. Well, mad respect to him for coming to a team, with I think he had 12 goals prior to coming into the Capitals, or 11 goals, and then all of a sudden scoring a goal each of the last 4 games and an assist, and just playing smart hockey. So good for him. It was a smart move on BMAC for sure.
Definitely agree. So do you want to break down the scoring in the first game, and we can move on from there?
Yep. So last Tuesday we had the Caps playing the Flyers. Capitals completely dominated the scoring in the first period with goals from Sherry, Wilson, Backstrom, and Hagelin. Fantastic. The Flyers scored their only goal at 8:45 in the first. And then it was just all about the Capitals. Second has Mantha scoring at 9:22, assisted by Oshie, which was his 20th, and Backstrom, which was his 30th. And finally, in the third period, the captain scores his 22nd with a power play goal, assisted by Wilson, assisted by Wilson and Sherry. It was a fantastic win, and what a great game for Sammy. So this was a fun game to watch. I don't know if either one of you had a chance to watch it, but it was a good game.
Yeah, I was doing the math earlier. I haven't actually missed a game in a couple of months. My wife made the note of that earlier. She's like, "Do you ever take a game off?" I was
By the way.
not really. So sorry about that. So, but anyway, so I have seen all of them. I'll let Carol give his thoughts first, and then I'll give mine.
Yeah, this definitely was a dominating performance by this team, putting up, 4 in the first, and just, dominating throughout the whole game, played their game, and I was feeling bad for the opposing goalie at one point. It was just scoring at will at one point. So this was, what you wanted to see from the team. Granted, the Flyers, aren't really on the way up right now. They're fighting for their playoff life and, on life support. So we know they have goalie issues, and we have a few of our own, I feel, that hopefully can get figured out pretty soon. But this game right here I think it was a pretty good game, especially with Mantha, doing his thing and welcome himself to the team in the city, scoring in his first game. That's always a great thing. So.
And an assist, even right before that. So his first point as a Capital was actually an assist, and then got 4 goals in a row. So, I mean, that's, it's good that he's both sides, yeah.
It's definitely like Anna was saying about, he only had like 11 or 13 goals, and he already has, 4 goals with us in 4 games. So he's definitely blended in, is definitely going to help this team in many ways.
Yeah, I was trying to have people halt and say, hey, if this is like a Tom Wilson type guy, let him join a team with a really good center, because people are like, oh, he had decent centers in Detroit, he played on the top line. But the thing is the team around you either picks you up or it drags you down, right?
Yeah.
If you're constantly losing, you're not going to put the full effort on there. If you see every man going to a T and for me, he kind of finishes the lineup, right? I thought the rest of the lineup was good, but unfortunately, Verona was, not, consistent, right? So, I mean, he was good, but only in certain situations. And this guy, and I've talked about it before, just really digs pucks out. I mean, he scored. We'll talk about the different goals, but each one's very different, right? I mean, one that was empty net, obviously, but even that one showed that he has skill to be able to shoot it from one end of the ice all the way to the other. It's not like it's an easy empty netter goal. And then he got one where he kind of jukes some guys out, shows that he's actually pretty quick, even though he's a bigger guy. And he scored in a bunch of other ways too. So, I mean, I think all 4 goals were distinctly different, which is a good sign because you need a player. It reminds me a lot of a TJ Oshie or a Wilson or an Ovechkin, someone that can score in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and I like that he's everywhere, and he's not just quick to, like, I know I said it before, but like, he's not quick to just say, hey, I'm 6'5", I'm going to drop the gloves and be this intimidating force. However, he is. But he also plays very, very smart hockey. And like you said, different goals, different shots, different positions, much to be respected and appreciated as a new Caps player, at least for the fans, for sure.
Well, it's just funny for me because I was like, unless he gets a hat trick in his first game, I feel like everyone's going to call this thing like a dud, or like he has to score a lot. Like, the pressure was on, right? I mean, Verona was a fan favorite, so you're taking that guy's spot. So, and we gave up a lot in a lot of people's mind for it. So there was just a lot of question marks coming into it as we addressed for 20 minutes. So I won't address too long, on today's show. But I was happy to see that he could come out on fire. Sadly, you're gonna have to quickly go over the next game because it sucks and it's a really bad game. And the only thing that was really important about it was this guy right here, Nicholas.
Absolutely.
I put him front and center today.
Well deserved.
And but yeah, I mean, take it away. The scoring.
I'll make it short and sweet. So Thursday, the Capitals played Buffalo, and Buffalo scores first actually at 18:50, but then Orlov scores his 6 at 19:37. So we were all kind of hoping like this may be it. However, but I will say, no, it was assisted by Oshie. Second period, Buffalo dominated by scoring 3 goals. But Memphis scores at 9:59, assisted by Carlson and Backstrom. In the third period, they scored with an empty netter. The 5-2 loss, like this was tough to watch. I have to be honest. This was one of those situations where I hate the mindset of, oh, it's a given, oh, we're going to win, oh, on and on and on, because Buffalo, well, apparently that kind of blew up in our face because we didn't come out strong. I felt like they were kind of in that hungover stage, and, Backstrom, 1,000 games, like, I am at a loss for words for that. Like, that is just a phenomenal milestone for anybody, and good for him. But when they have that at the beginning of the game, I think the focus is all on that, and then it's very hard to switch and say, okay, bye to your family, bye to the fans, and okay, puck drop, and let's be like in hockey mode. So apparently that was very obvious for this night. And also with a 38.8% with the face-off, that was just pathetic. It was just pathetic. I don't know what's going to take for the face-off, but it's like, come on, guys. Like this. So that's what really kind of kills me on this one, but it is what it is, and it is a loss, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was definitely an emotional letdown game.
Yeah.
Carol, I know that you only, I think, got to see parts of this game. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But break down whatever you want to.
Yeah, I look at it, a little bit differently. I feel what you're saying. I guess I didn't watch it closely. I was, watching often when I had some other things going on. But they beat one team 8 times out of 8. Beat another team 7 times out of 8. They beat Buffalo 6 out of 8. Buffalo has been playing tough all season, and the Capitals have found a way to win. in this game, I think Buffalo just came out and was like, look, we just want to outplay this team. We just got to win. We can't, go 1-7 against this team. And unfortunately, we know the Capitals sometimes takes periods off, sometimes games off. And it was just the combination of the two, I think. And Buffalo I feel like, just really wanted this game more than the Capitals did this night. And, I'd rather it happen now in the regular season than in the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, you really don't have to worry about that happening. But you would rather get it out your system now when you still have some games left to tighten things up and to get on the right, path for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a letdown of a game for me in the sense that I think everyone wanted it too much sometimes. I think you're supposed to go out and have fun, and I think that they kind of had a little bit of their fun before, and it was just very emotional. And then my big problem was if you had fans in that stadium after that, and then it carries through, and it doesn't just, you have this huge emotional moment, and then it's silence. For me, I think it would have been a very different situation. I really do think that the crowd, after an emotional thing like that, would have pulled them through that game because the crowd wouldn't have let them lose on Nicholas Backstrom's day. I honestly feel like there was a significant sort of, it's hard to match that energy to an empty arena after having such an emotional start, I think, and I mean, Buffalo took advantage of it. And I also think that any team on any given night, Buffalo wanted to play spoiler, and every team is good. They all get paid. They're all professionals. But I guess I was just disappointed because obviously I was going into it with such high emotions myself. With wanting do it for Nicky, and pretty early on I could see it wasn't going to be our night. Like it wasn't like. We lost it in the last moment or whatever. I just kind of felt like it was falling apart pretty quickly for us.
Agree.
I don't want to spend too much time on it, somebody does ask us a question though. Tom Donaldson, do you guys think that GM, BM, and OB have an agreement in place that are waiting for the expansion draft like they did with Oshie? TJ signed 3 days after the draft, and I 100% think that's exactly what has happened. Ovi is the negotiator for this contract. They can have a handshake deal in effect where they're like, I'm going to get paid this at this time. I don't have to give a cut to any agent. I'm not going to shake your hand until this. We're not going to say we have anything because it's against the rules if they did.
Right.
But so it will never come out that it did. But TJ Oshie's did 3 days later, with what he wanted, and
Backstrom was the same way.
Well, Backstrom was last year in a year that they didn't have to do an expansion draft, so they they re-signed Backstrom during the season, but he was his own agent in the same way. So that is correct. But I swear that it's a smart thing for Ovechkin to do, right? They don't have to protect. We get to protect an extra player in essence by doing that. I don't know if it'll be Kuznetsov or not. I mean, the obvious thing would be to try to save Kuzi and TJ Oshie, but they're two of our biggest contracts, and with the salary cap the way it is, you may want to they may not go after one of those players, right? So you may want to protect somebody who has maybe a better term and deal. Like I would hate to lose Connor Sherry now with that great deal, but that might be a possibility because I don't know if they would protect him. So it's a great question. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I can't confirm that they have a deal in place, but I would be shocked, right? Shocked if it didn't. Because you notice how all the conversation, it was before the season started, there was a conversation about it, and then there was no conversation about it, which tells me something, that a deal was made but could not be spoke about, right?
Yep.
So,
I agree.
Because Obi's not complaining, right? You don't see Obi being like, man, they should be giving me a deal right now, or whatever. You hear nothing, which I think is a good sign. I think, I'll, at least that's how I'll take it. Carol, do you have any thoughts on it?
I definitely agree that it's probably, something like that already because, like you said, he doesn't have an agent to be in the way and they can, do what they need to do. The expansion draft stuff, I'm still learning all that. You're the salary cap and expansion guy for hockey, and I'm the salary cap guy for football. So I'm still trying to figure out all the intricacies and rules and stuff that goes on with the NHL with that situation. But Oshie, Kuzi, I mean, I hope not to lose neither one of those guys. You know, you talk about having to, expose them for the draft or whatever.
Kuzi's $9 million. And I like Kuzi, and at the time it seemed like a good deal for after the 2018. But I don't know if he's worth $9 million. Is he as good as Ovechkin, Carol? He's gonna get I think Ovi's gonna get 10 and a half. Do you think he's only worth 1 million less than Ovechkin? We'll put it that way.
Well, with Kuzi, we saw what he's capable of. Now, remember, he's still coming off of the, substance abuse stuff, still trying to get his weight, and the COVID hit him. So I don't think he's really had a chance to get into a groove and get into a rhythm in this new situation, with him, substance abuse issues and boom, 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 especially being an athlete. It takes a while when you're used to doing something good or bad, and it's going to affect you in your psyche because you think, oh, I needed that to be the player that I was, and he has to learn how to overcome that. And because of the COVID and some of in the situation with him being out before, I don't think that he's had a chance to, fully get out there and figure it out in this new way that he's playing without substances. So I still think he can get back to that form, but I still think it's more mental of him trying to figure out, find his way now going through this new situation. I ain't trying to get too deep on it, but, I'll be thinking about some of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Anna, what are your thoughts?
No, I kind of feel the same way. I want to say that he has a lot to prove to the fans in regards to mistakes in the past and whatever. But most importantly, I think he's got a lot to prove to himself, and he needs to get into that Kuzi, mindset and go and just go forward. Let's not be thinking about the past. Is the potential there? My God, yes. But can it be consistent? And I think that consistent word seems to be a jinx with, it's like that dark cloud over a lot of teams. But when it comes to hockey and we only have 10 games left till the playoffs, we need to see Kuzi given 110% all the time. And I think that he is trying. And I think he'll make a name for himself. I really, truly think the next, 5 games are going to speak volumes on how well he's going to do because there are people that are doubting him. So, I don't know. I hope for the best.
Yeah. I will be interested to see. Well, let's get into the Saturday game. 'Cause I guess we're still there, right? We haven't talked about that game, so we got to get through 2 games in the next 15 minutes. So let's
no problem.
let's go through the good one first, and then we'll not go with the bad one as well.
Just mute through the other one.
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon, the Capitals play Flyers. So Ovechkin kicks off the scoring at 3:38 with a power play goal. The Flyers do score it. Here we go, 1959. I don't know if anybody saw that happening, but it was insane. 1 second left in the first period. So they tied it up 1-1. Second period has the Capitals scoring 3 times, including Orlov, which was his 7th, Ovechkin, which was his 24th, and Kuzi with his 8th. And then the other, Ramdin Zyke, I was like, I had his name down, and then all of a sudden you say it, and it just doesn't sound right. It's like, I'm so used to TVR. His brother.
Yes.
Scores the only Flyer goal at 5:28. Third period has Allison to score. He scores his first NHL goal and his first game, which, hats off to that kid. He did a great job for the other team. But Sherry gets his 12th, assisted by Schultz and Eller. And then Mantha scores an empty netter at 18:48 with a 6-3 win. But unfortunately, this is another one where we had a 39.3% on the face-off. What the hell? And I understand because Claude Giroux has an insane record when it comes to face-off, but 39.3. We're really? Come on, Capitals. I think we could really do so much better, but apparently not.
Yeah. Carol, I'll let you go over this game, and then I'll give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree. Face-offs are very key, and they were on the upward trend, earlier in the season. I'm not sure what's going on right now with them being in the 30%, high 30s, but still you don't want to be in the 30s when it comes to the face-off. But I love the fact of what Alex Ovechkin, doing this thing, 2 goals, 2 power play goals. And it's funny to always listen to the announcers say you always know what's coming, but you can't stop it. And it's crazy how many times he just gets to that spot and the puck just goes
The
with
offense,
such
yeah.
with such velocity. And most of the goalies say that he's accurate with his shot, and it's so deadly that the goalie is just hoping that it hits a part of his body because it's so hard to pick up because it's always traveling so fast, and it's just amazing to see what this guy has been able to do over his career and still continuing to do. And unfortunately, with these shortened seasons, that's going to hurt his chances of getting to the all-time leading scorer in NHL history, taking over for Wayne Gretzky. But if he could do that, man, that would be a beautiful thing, man, because he is one of the, I guess, if not the best pure goal scorer that we've seen ever. And
Yeah.
I love the fact that
History
he's
in the
been-
making, right?
Exactly. That's why I love covering it, and I love covering Ovi and the Caps. And it's, when you can see he's breaking records on a weekly basis, sometimes nightly basis, and it's just good to see greatness. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it was a really exciting game. It was fun. Anna and I actually did a post game for this show. So we gave some of our thoughts on that. So, if you want a longer, I know that today we're going to do it a little bit shorter, abbreviated, but if you want a more prolonged look, you can go back to that video. But, the Russians came to play, both from the goalie position to Ovi. For me in this game, it kind of solidified. I love both goalies, and I don't want to make a goalie controversy. So I don't want to start with that. But for me, I think Sam's going to be the guy because he's been at this level a little bit longer, and I think that veteran leadership will come through. And so if I had to pick one right now, Sam would be my guy, right? We still have 10 games to try to figure it out. But at some point, you're going to have to try to ride somebody a little bit more during this stretch to try to get them ready for the playoffs.
And that's my issue. We saw Double V get into a groove when he was starting each game. We gave Samsonov chances to get into that groove, and he hasn't been able to, get it
Sammy
consistent.
won his games, and Double V didn't this week.
I'm just speaking on a consistent basis from him. I feel like Double V showed enough to say, hey, let's ride it out. Get him in there. We know he's young. We know he's a rookie. But we know Samsonov has been there. So if we need to put him in there, we can go back to him. But let's see what this kid really can do. Because when he was on that hot streak at the start of the season, I mean, he looked like he was nothing getting past him. And I think with the more games that he had under his belt, the more comfortable he got. And now sharing time with Samsonov, he hasn't been able to shine like he was, being locked in like he was, being a rookie in this league. Now, Samsonov, he's had some, 800 save percentage nights. And, you can't have that at all in the playoffs.
No, I understand. I'm just looking at the week that was, and, right, I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm 100% right on this. Yeah, Sammy won both of them. Double V lost both of them. And to me, Philadelphia, especially in that second one, is going to come in hot. They want revenge, right? So he was able to do it where and the team is tired against Boston. And I think Boston just kept on. It was a physical game, and it was a wear it out sort of style. And last week we got Boston on the Sunday game when they were on a doubleheader, and I even warned of this, last week on the show that they could get us this week in the same way, and I think that they did. But for me, Sam just seems to stand on his head in the key moments in that Philadelphia game where I didn't see Double V. Now, I don't blame Double V for either of the losses fully. I think it's a team effort, and the team played better in front of Sam than they did in Double V in these two games. It'll be interesting to see going forward. We've got a big layoff, and then we're going to have the Islanders. There's 3 games against the Islanders. Who's going to get 2 out of 3, right? Because I don't think either is going to get all 3. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But just going back to this Philadelphia game for one last second, I was really excited. John Carlson had the 4 assists, first game ever. It showed the good John Carlson.
Yeah.
The next game, we're going to see the very bad
so
John
much.
Carlson. And so it's this really interesting player where John Carlson was responsible for the first 4 goals in the other game, where in the next game, John Carlson was a -5. Right,
Yeah.
so he's just directly responsible for almost all the goals, and 2 of them were 100% on him. Not just he's on the ice, but like we're actually because of John Carlson.
Yeah.
So it's just it's frustrating, because obviously John Carlson puts the most minutes on the team of anybody, but you sort of live and die by that sort of high octane and style. But on this day, he was great. Ovi obviously, climbing up the power play leaderboard, also climbing up the road multi-goal scoring one. So he tied Wayne Gretzky's record for most multi-goal games on the road. So that's kind of an exciting thing. And just overall, just a really great game. And Mantha would score for his 3rd game in a row, so that was exciting as well. But let's just quickly get into the not so good one, and then we'll talk about what we're gonna do with these Islanders games coming up. But Anna, quickly break down yesterday's scoring, please.
I'll break it down. We lost.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was a lost Sunday afternoon game. This was hard to watch. So Boston scores twice in the first, but Oshie scores 15 with the tip in at 1950, assisted by Backstrom. So yay. And then Oshie opens up the scoring with the power play goal at 3:48, followed by Mantha scoring his 15th with the power play goal, assisted by Orlov and Eller. Boston scores 3 more times, 5-3 loss. Or I should say 5-3 going into the third, and then there was an empty netter by Base. So at 18-16, and it was a 6-3 loss. So, blah. This was a hard game to watch. Truly.
Yeah. That's a rough one. Carol, I don't know how much of this game you got to actually watch.
I
think you said
actually
you didn't
got
watch
to
many.
see none of it. I recorded on the DVR, and once, like I told Anna, once I saw Marshawn had 4 points, I decided not even to watch it. So all I do is give a quick scoring update. The Nats game is currently 11-5 in the bottom of the 7th. They have 2 on and 1 out.
Oh, he just took a huge cut at it. If he had connected there, God, he could have made it 8-11, but didn't make
Nats
contact.
are still fighting, trying to get back in this game. They're currently 5-8. We'll be getting the Nats talk shortly, breaking down all the games. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that Boston Capitals game.
And the Wizards are up 75-65 with 6:18 left in the third quarter, which we'll also talk more in Wizards talk coming up. I'll just give my quick thoughts on it. Obviously, they scored the first 2 goals. The big one that kills you is the shorthanded one, right? Because they had bloodied our guy, and you're like, oh man, Eller got hurt for the team. You've got a double minor for the blood. You can do so much with that, and ultimately they get scored on, and then they wrap that momentum up and score again a couple of moments later. And so the Caps got to regroup, and I was like, keep it physical, get under their skin a little bit, and watch them take a dumb penalty, and maybe we can get another shot at it. TJ Oshie scores at the end of the first period, so that gives us some life. And then exactly what I was talking about or thinking about happens about 3 minutes into, or a couple minutes into the second period, where they're cross-checking each other a little bit, and then a really stupid penalty by who was it? Connor Clifton, drawn by Connor Sherry, and because of that, on that situation, they were able to take advantage twice. They were able to score, get a reset power play, and then score again, and that shows Anthony Mantha's great power play ability. And
Absolutely.
Line I thought was key. And then I was like, oh man, momentum's going our way, and then Brad Marchand stole it away again, and he scored another one a little bit later as well.
Yeah, so Carol, just to lead it off your...
So they had 3 2-goal
They already
scorers in that
did.
game. So Bergeron, Krejci, and Marchand all had 3. And yeah, Marchand actually tried to find Bergeron for the hat trick, but he saw that he was behind the play and decided to get his second goal himself for that empty netter. So just disappointing. They ran out of steam in a lot of ways, and that's kind of where we'll leave that. They have 3 games against the Islanders Thursday, so a big break here. Thursday at 7, Saturday at 7, and then Tuesday at 7. The Tuesday at 7 will be the one back in Washington, be the first game for Capitals fans back in Capital One Arena. But we will talk about that game more next week.
Yeah.
But we will only have 2 games to recap next week, so it'll be a more condensed Capitals talk. It'll be both against the Islanders.
Yeah.
Carol, who gets the first game? Who gets the second game in these Islanders? Or do you not split it? Do you want to see one player get 2 games in a row?
Yeah, I'd say you let 2 games in a row. Like you said, you got to figure out who you want to ride into the playoffs. So you got to, try to give them some consistency and chemistry on the team, on the ice with the team. So if it's going to be Sammy that they're going to ride, I say it's time to start putting them in there for, 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, so you can start getting locked in for the playoffs. Because to me, that's the only question mark with this team right now is the goalie.
Yeah, for me, this is a trial right here, right now against a
This is
team
it.
probably play right now second place team or third place. I mean, they're all shifting around right now. It doesn't really matter. But it's a potential playoff team that you may see either first round or second round. And but most likely second round if we were able to make it past the first round. And that would be a brutal game in the second round of the playoffs. A rematch of, playoffs, of series that we've seen before between these teams, but our old coach against us. But for me, you give them 1 each. You give Sammy the first one because he's been playing better. You give Double V the second game, and whoever does better gets that home game in front of fans for the first game, right? Use that as a carrot, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to make it any fairer than that. You're both getting an opportunity with a day's rest in between. Against the same opponent on the road.
Yeah, I would go the other way.
Okay.
I would go V-Tech first and then Sammy. I just feel like Carol mentioned before that Vanecek, I mean, he stood out. My God, no one expected what happened to Sammy with COVID. And Vanecek to come in and do as well as he did, and he did. And so I think we have to remember that he has, no, he doesn't have the history for, that he is still young and everything else. But man, he came in and played strong for the Capitals in the beginning and has had some amazing saves. And I think that we need to not forget what he did in the beginning. And so I would go Vanecek first, Sammy, whomever plays better goes in front of the fans. So I'm still kind of pulling for
same idea, but put V
Yeah.
Double V first. I actually like the idea. He's very rarely played 2 games actually in a row with losses, right? And this one was 2 games for him in a row, but they were not the teams to win, 2 games in a row. So you know what? I might change my mind. Maybe Double V go first. You've convinced me, and then Sammy gets that Saturday night.
Yeah.
And maybe if Double V plays really well, you give them both, right? So
Maybe.
I'm
We know the potential's there. We know the drive is there, and I think that this Boston game God, Gil and I had the argument last night that, here I am pulling for John Carlson for the Norris Trophy, and he's like, he's the worst, and on and on. And it's like, all right, you've won bad game, but the game before was fantastic, and then there's that lack of.
Yeah, but the problem is the lack of. If he didn't get it last year, where I think he was doing better with the consistency thing, he's not getting it this year because he's already like 3rd or 4th in the running. I think there's some other really great players out there, but I will say after the Saturday game, he's right up there in the leaderboards for the NHL stats. I'm gonna pull him up right now, but. He was able to get his 32nd assist in that Saturday game. So yeah, John Carlson is leading the league in points with 42 points currently. I don't know how. I don't know if Adam Fox is playing today or how he's doing. He's there at second, and he's in fifth place in goals with 10. And then he's in third place with assists and with 32. Adam Fox.
So I mean, I think that of all the games he has been consistent, and then all of a sudden this Boston game just was like, what the fuck? I mean, like this is awful. I mean, it was awful across the board for just about everybody because there was like even as much as I love Tommy, he had 2 opportunities, pretty much. Have an unassisted goal and was like nowhere near.
Just right now, I think Adam Fox or Victor Hedman has a slight advantage over him.
Yeah.
There's a couple other people that
I could
are
see that.
potentially there. I mean, Chris Letang has played well for Pittsburgh, and I know I hate him, but I'm just saying that there are other people out there that are also playing well that might be quote unquote slightly more consistent than John Carlson. None of them are putting up a -5 in a game, which I love the guy, but like that's horrendous.
That was it was like when Gil talked about that last night. I was like, I've got nothing because that's a hard stat to swallow.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that some people don't put a lot of stock in plus minus, but for me, it's like it tells you something. Right? I mean, he was on the ice for most of the goals again. So, all right, Carol, any final thoughts on the week that was or the week upcoming before we switch gears?
No, let's go ahead and finish up so we can get in the Nats talk.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Anna, I've gotten 2/3 of the way through the Power Play Point podcast for this week before we had to jump on air, but a great episode so far. I've been enjoying it. sportsothp.com. It's an updated website with lots of videos, including our video from Saturdays on there as well. If you click the podcast partners button, and then click the Power Play Point podcast, you can listen to that episode that was released, I believe, today, and or last night. But either way, it's up right now, and you get more of Anna by listening to that and some of Gil's thoughts as well. Anna, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, thanks again for a fun night, and let's hope the Islanders next week. We're just going to talk about kicking their ass.
Yeah, it'll be a good test for the playoffs for sure.
Absolutely. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right, Anna, take it easy.
Take care.
All right, so we're going to bring Brian Brennan in next, and then I'm going to ask real quickly if Arun would like to talk baseball. He can join us as well, but that is up to him, or he can continue to watch the Wizards in lurk mode. Carroll was a pretty good week for the Nationals, and they're, I mean, not the best week, but 4-3 will take it. This game I know is not looking so great right now. The Cardinals have a base runner on third with 1 out, 2-0 count, and they're still up 11-5. But last week was pretty good. Help us break down some of those games.
Yeah, the Nats unfortunately wasted a prime opportunity. Had 2 on, the man on second and third with no outs, and weren't able to get either one of them home. And now St. Louis has a man on third with 1 out. So the Nats definitely had a chance to, get this game closer, and unfortunately couldn't get the job done at that point. 4-3 is better than the 1-5 from the previous week, so I can't be mad at that. But definitely players coming back from the COVID protocol has helped this team because basically they were just struggling offensively. First game they had St. Louis, St. Louis for 3 and Arizona for 4, and they won 2 out of 3 versus St. Louis. Overall, the Nats now have a 5-8 record. Looking at tonight, it's going to be 5-9 unless they can get their act together and get some runs on the board. This game was a 5-2 victory for the Nats. Kyle Finnegan earned the victory, going 1 inning, 1 1/3, giving up 1 hit, 1 earned run with 2 strikeouts. John Gant took the loss. He went 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs with 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. Brand Hand earned the save, going 1 inning with 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Juan Soto went 3 for 4 with an RBI single. Schwarber. Hope I said that right. I know Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know you know how to say it. That's the first time I tried to say his name. He went 2 for 5 with an RBI double, and Andrew Stevenson came in with a pinch hit home run in that game also. I'm gonna go ahead and break down all three now. We just recap it. I know you guys are ready to jump on Wizards talk of that 4-0 week. The second game of the series was a blowout, kind of like this one started out to be. St. Louis won 14-3. Jack Flaherty earned the victory, going 5 innings with giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run with 6 strikeouts. Strasburg took the loss, going 4 innings, giving up 8 hits, 8 runs, 7 of those earned with 3 strikeouts and 3 walks. Harrison went 3 for 4 with an RBI double, and Soto went 1 for 3 with an RBI single. And I failed to mention in the opening notes, the opening news and notes, that Strasburg is on the IL right now. I forgot if it was Brian. Well, I know you know, Brian. What was the injury that Strasburg went on the IL for?
I actually don't know. Sorry, Carol. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
You know, you're my go-to guy. You always
Well,
have the
I'm
info.
not, like, follow the pitches
I know.
every day. Come on, man.
I'm just used to going to you always having an answer, man. It's the first time it didn't happen. It's
I looked it up. So it's a shoulder inflammation.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know I read it, I just couldn't remember what it was. So I think that's what led to that performance, and they said let's go ahead and put him on the IL. In the last game of the series, the Nats were able to win that series 2-1 with Joe Ross having a strong outing, unlike tonight's outing. He got shelled for 10 runs. In this game, he went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, no earned runs, with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. Wainwright took the loss, going 5 innings, giving up 7 hits for 4 runs. 3 of those earned with 7 strikeouts and 1 walk. Ryan Zimmerman went 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run, and Juan Soto went 2 for 5 with an RBI single. This was a good series win. They needed to get on the positive side of things. Go 1-0 each day. They went 2 out of 3. So it's a good start to the week. I was hoping to have momentum going against Arizona. Robbie, what is your take on this series? And before we go to Brian and Arun at some beautiful location he's in.
I'll be honest. I didn't get to watch many of these games. I was very excited about that they were doing better, but I can't say that I have a ton to add to the actual watching of the games. But that's why I brought friends along that could maybe speak to some of the games.
No doubt, Brian. I know you said you've been watching more Nats games. So what was your take on this series with the Nats getting some of their players back and winning 2 out of 3 against St. Louis, who's not really doing the best right now, but they're trying to find their way also?
Well, unfortunately, the one game I did watch in this series was the game where Strasburg got shelled. And that was unfortunate. It's unfortunate because, Steven Strasburg, he was great in the postseason in 2019, but, he hasn't been quite a dominant regular season pitcher, so that was frustrating. But other than that, that's great to take 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals. I mean, I've said I think the Cardinals will be a playoff team this year, so to take 2 out of 3 against them is great. Joe Ross pitched really well in that third game. He's been very encouraging this season. And the hitting was good in this series as well. You mentioned Soto's just been great all season to start. Stevenson hitting the big home run on Monday. This was a good series win. Like, you'll take a series win, like, even with Strasburg's performance on Tuesday. 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, you'll take that.
Agree 100%. Arun, what was your take on this series?
Yeah, and in the first one, it was nice that Schwarber made his debut from the COVID list. And Stevenson, he hit that home run that Brian just mentioned. Finnegan, he got the win, 1 in the 3rd inning, and Ross, pretty good. Unfortunate for Strasburg that he didn't pitch well, and I guess we'll talk about Strasburg, what happened to him yesterday later.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let's go ahead and get into the 4-game series versus the Diamondbacks, which they split 2-2. The first game was an 11-6 loss. Merrill Kelly earned the victory for the Diamondbacks, going 6 innings, giving up 9 hits, 6 earned runs with 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Patrick Corbin hasn't looked anything like what we saw previously. Last week he got shelled in the 4th inning. This week he got shelled in the 2nd inning, giving up 6 hits, 10 runs, 9 of those earned with 1 strikeout and 4 walks. He's had a lot of control issues. His slider hasn't been as effective as we've seen it before. I don't know if he's, not lined up right, is not throwing out the right slide or what it is. But when it comes to pitchers, the smallest thing in their mechanics can throw off their pitches. So hopefully he gets it figured out soon, because definitely need him, especially while Strasburg on the IL now. We need him to round back into form. But Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with an RBI double, had 2 RBIs. Game 2 was, I got him out of wrong. Wasn't game 2 the walk off or game 3 the walk off? I can't remember. I got him in the wrong order.
It was game 2.
Okay, I got him in the right order then. Just forgot. All right, game 2 was a 1-0 walk-off walk-off victory by Kyle Schwarber in the bottom of the 9th. It was a great game, pitching duel, and I watched the whole game, and it was just amazing how the pitchers were just dominant in this game. And you kind of had to feel like the Nats were going to find a way to pull this one out when it came to the 9th inning. I had a good feeling that the Nats would be able to hopefully walk off, because the offense had been stifled all night. So I was like, it just takes one swing, and we got that one swing, and Nats win 1-0. Game 3 of the series was a 6-2 victory for the Nationals. Eric Fetty went 5 innings, giving up 5 hits, 1 earned run with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. One of his best performances in a long time. I can't read my handwriting on the dude's name. I was rushing when I wrote this, but the St. Louis pitcher took the loss. He went 4 innings, giving up 8 hits, 4 earned runs with 3 strikeouts. Yan Gomes went 3 for 4 with a solo home run and an RBI single. And Ryan Zimmerman had a pinch hit solo home run, which is always a great thing for Zim. He always Mr. Nationals. That's pretty much all you got to say about him. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see the game yesterday, but it was a 5-2 loss. Madison Bumgarner was on the mound for Arizona. He went 5 innings, giving up 2 hits, 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. Paulo Espiro, hope I said that right, went 4 1/3, giving up 5 hits, 2 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Room, what did you take away from this 4-game series with Arizona where the Nationals split?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Corbin has been disappointing, I'd say, since the playoffs in 2018, other than a few bullpen appearances. He was playing his former team, which was interesting, but it's the 3rd year of his 6-year contract. Hopefully this contract, he plays better through the remainder of the contract. Schwarber, that was a really impressive home run. Scherzer said after the game, I didn't know, as soon as the ball hit the air, I cracked the beer open for a celebration. I thought that was pretty funny. Good win to follow that up. And then the loss was unfortunate, even though, and Strasburg left. Trey Turner had 2 home runs, and it was just not enough. But at least the Nats are playing better, just 500 better. It's a step in the right direction to split a series.
Yeah, definitely have to get better though, and more consistent.
Yeah.
We always talk consistency. Brian, what did you take away from this 4-game series?
I really love that Friday game that you mentioned. It was a pitcher's duel. Scherzer pitched great, and I really felt like the Nationals were going to pull it out in the end. I've talked about it, how I really feel like Kyle Schwarber is going to be a really great addition to this team. I know Josh Bell hasn't been hitting much to start the season, but I really feel like him and Schwarber are going to be really good additions to this offense when they're at their best. And yeah, Rue touched on it. Corbin was very bad, awful against his former team. Gave up the grand slam. He's got to be better, especially now that Strasburg is out. Yeah, you probably want to take 3 against Arizona. They're not a great team, so you probably want to take 3. But the win on Friday was dramatic. Saturday was a good win too. I watched a good portion of that game. Fetty pitched well. So you probably want to take 3, but you'll take 2.
True. Yeah, 2 is better than 1. 3 would have been better than 2. I would have liked to get 3 out of 4, but like I say, it's still early. Nets aren't really, they're in last place, but they're only 3 games out of first, so no big deal. Robbie, did you get a chance to check out any of those 4 games? He's probably muted again.
Sorry about that. Guys. I'm watching this basketball game. The Wizards are just falling apart. They went on OKC's went on an 11-2 run, but the Wizards were able to score a bucket right there coming out of the break, and then actually had some defense there. But right now it's 94-90 in the Wizards game with 8:20 left in the fourth quarter. But no, I unfortunately did not watch many of this weekend's series. For me, it's hard for me to get into baseball while there's still basketball and hockey around. But I'm happy you guys break it down, and I do check box scores and see how we're doing. But you guys have broken it down far more than I could.
No doubt. I'll go over the upcoming schedule and let you guys get ready to get into your NBA roundtable. I'm actually watching the Dallas Detroit hockey game, and they're going into the shootout. It's tied 2-2. The Nats are down 12-5. St. Louis ended up tacking on a run after the Nats didn't add to their deficit of lack of hitting at the proper time. And they, as we say, we're playing St. Louis right now, 7:05 start tonight. Have a 7:05 start tomorrow night and a 4:05 start on Wednesday. Then the Nats travel to good old New York to go face the Mets. They have a 7:10 start on Friday, a 4:05 start on Saturday, and a 1:10 start on Sunday. Brian, as we see the Cardinals look like they're going to take the first game of this series, do you think the Nats are going to be able to take 2 out of 3 from this team again?
I think they can definitely bounce back. Tonight hasn't been pretty. It sucks for Ross. Ross has been pitching so well before this, so it sucks for him to have a stinker like this one. And so I expect them to bounce back. I think they'll come back strong. And then as far as the Mets series go, I'm not sure how it lines up. But if they can avoid Jacob deGrom, that would be great, because Jacob deGrom is obviously the best pitcher in baseball, and he's been dominant to start this season. So as long as the Nationals can avoid Jacob deGrom, I think they have a good chance of beating the Mets in that series. But yeah, tonight didn't go well, but I have the feeling the Nationals will bounce back. They'll at least win 1 game of the next 2 against the Cardinals. And if they can avoid Jacob deGrom, they can definitely beat the Mets.
Solid. Arun, what do you say about these 2 series?
Yeah, it'll be good, as Brian said, if we can win. I would hope to win one of the 2, and hopefully 2. And the Mets, they've been playing better. They were beating up on the Rockies recently, and they swept the Phillies. So hopefully the Nats can win that series against a division team.
Yeah.
True. What about you?
I agree. I hope that we can at least go 500 for the week, because we just got to start to pile up a couple of wins here. And it doesn't look like we're going to get one in tonight's game.
Yeah, just gave up a 1-out triple. But, yeah, it's still early. They're still figuring things out. Like I said, they're only 3 games under 500. Look like about to be 4 games under 500 after tonight. But still plenty of time. Still, plenty of time. No need to be in panic mode, even though some Nats fans are already. I'm pretty much.
Long season. I can't believe they're going to play as many games as they're going to this year. I mean, the plan is to play a full season, which is crazy. A nice dunk there by the Wizards makes it, I believe, 106-98. So right after I was saying they were playing badly, they went on a nice little run there.
Cool. That's the second time it happened. So hopefully they screw up again. You call them on and they start playing better. That's a good job, Robbie. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get ready to step off so you gentlemen can
Are you going to keep the feed rolling from your end?
Of
or are you
course,
gonna...
of course,
Yeah, okay. I
especially
just
on the
didn't know if you
4-0.
wanted to
Yeah, of course,
jump
on the
off.
4-0 week, I'm gonna turn my mic off and have a couple of more sips of my adult beverage and listen to you guys talk NBA and Washington Wizards.
Sounds good. We'll bring you back in at the end. We'll talk Wizards, and then I even would like to talk a little bit of DC United soccer as well. So we'll bring the guys in. So today, Champ's actually modding for us over at Twitch. So if he's got anything to add, he'll type it in chat, and I could let people know what he's saying there. So I appreciate him being one of my first moderators over there. Not that there's a lot of craziness going on or anything, but it's always helpful, and give him the night off. And I figured the four of us can break down the week that was. I'm going to pull up the schedule now, and then we can go through it. Hold on, share screen. I realized that I never gave myself that ability before. Myself. Second, make. All right, now I'm a co-host, and now I can share my screen. All right. All right, so here's the week that was for the Wizards. It's been a really great week. It started off with them beating the Jazz in the game that we were live talking about. They were able to win that game just after our broadcast ended last week, so they were able to win that game 125 to 121. So let's just start there. We didn't really have the fourth quarter to talk about. The Jazz did make a good game of it. They scored 33 to 27 in that fourth quarter. The Wizards were able to hold on to win. If people missed last week's show, Utah came out really on fire, scored 42 points in the first, and I thought they were gonna be done for. The Wizards turned around and scored 37 in the second and only allowed 23 points. And they outscored them by 5 in the third. I'm happy that they outscored them by just that amount in the third, because that's pretty much the difference in this game. If you look at it, a lot of really good playing. Let me see. So here's the stats. Russell Westbrook had another triple-double, 14 rebounds, 14 assists, and 25 points. And in fact, over the last 10 games, I believe he had 8 triple-doubles going into this game tonight. And just overall good play. Rune, I'll start it with you. What were some of your thoughts on this Jazz game?
Overall, it was a pretty impressive win. Like, I didn't expect it, even though the Jazz were playing out Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson. The Wizards really stepped up, including Russell Westbrook, as you mentioned. Bradley Beal coming off the injury. He took a day off against the Suns, I believe. So it was really nice. And Rui also was back in the lineup, too. Donovan Mitchell was great. He had 42 points, but overall, the Wizards got it done, and really impressive win against the Jazz.
Indeed. All right, Brian, from an outsider's perspective, the Jazz have been really good this year. I mean, this is kind of a surprise that they've played pretty well against the Jazz. What are some of your thoughts on this one? Brian?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were going to me. Sorry. I cut out for a second. I'm at Matt's house, and he's got kind of crappy internet. So
you're all good.
I apologize. This was a good win for the Wizards. It's good that they've beaten Utah twice this season. To get 2 wins against the top team in the West is very impressive, even if a couple of key players for Utah was out of this game. You mentioned Westbrook. He's been much better in the second half ever since he got 100% healthy, and you mentioned his last couple of games. He's been absolutely balling out. So this is I think a really good win for the Wizards. It's close, but yeah, against the top team in the West, I mean, this is as good a win as you can have, I think.
Yeah, Tim, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best game for Denny. He had 0 points, but the team played really well in the second and third quarter. The end of the game got a little bit dicey and close, but it was a great bounce back because the Wizards' only bad game recently was at Phoenix when Beal was out, and that really got away from them in the second half, but they came out, pretty strong in this game. And like everybody said, to beat the top team in the West twice is really impressive. And it's crazy when you look at the Wizards' victories and losses this season. They play down to their competition and they play up to their competition, but they actually have a bad record against the bottom teams in the East, but a good record against the top teams in the West. So it doesn't make any sense, but the good thing is with the Wizards, they have enough talent to play with anybody or lose to anybody. So
Yeah, Bertans just hit a 3 in this live game against OKC, but then they turned around and scored a 2. But just like that, I think that was Westbrook just hit a 3. And it makes it, it was 114 to 105. There's just under about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this live game. They left an OKC player wide open for 3. He missed it, and then they have another chance for 3 and a rebound for the Wizards. So we're just keeping a live look at this end of game scenario there. But just a really good win for the Wizards. We're going to move on to the next one, which is against the Kings, which is a team that we kind of expected them to beat. The Wizards started off outscoring them 42 to 31. The Kings did a little better. It was almost even in the second. In the third, it was almost even. And then in the fourth quarter, pretty even scoring too. So it was kind of one of those things where they got a lead early on and were able to hold that margin kind of throughout. But the story goes, Russell Westbrook had another triple-double. Bradley Beal scored above 30 points again. He's trying to get that scoring title. He's very close. It's right around 31 points right now. There's 4 or 5 players that are hovering just right around 30 points in the league. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get that. The Kings played pretty well, but just not good enough. I mean, they still scored 111, but the Wizards just have the ability to put a lot of points on the board. Arun, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it was a kind of odd game in that the Wizards had 26 turnovers and Sacramento scored 38 points, but the game never really felt that close for Sacramento. Maybe a little bit towards the end when the Wizards were bogged down in the fourth quarter towards the end of the game and trying to let Sacramento back in the game. But even then, the Wizards won by double digits. And yeah, as you mentioned, Beal with another 30-point game. Russell Westbrook with his 170th triple-double the season. A good win against the team that's supposed to beat, which is good for the Wizards since they haven't really been taking care of business this season.
Yeah. All right. Brian, what are your thoughts from the outsider's perspective?
Yeah, I agree with Arun. The Wizards hadn't really been winning games. They should be winning like this. So this is one they should have won, and they did. Beal was great, as usual. Another 30-point game. We'll see if he wins the scoring title. He's in a pretty tight race with Steph Curry right now. I mean, what Steph Curry is doing at age 33 is absolutely remarkable. So we'll see if Beal is able to hold him off and win the scoring title. But, yeah, this was a great close to the road trip, a great road trip for the Wizards. Despite their 2 losses, like really, you'll take a 4-2 road trip considering who they were playing. Yeah, I think it was a good win. I think this was a good one.
For sure. All right, Tim, what are your thoughts on this game?
Sacramento came into this game with I think a 5 or 6 game losing streak. So they've really been struggling. And like Arun said, they never really threatened. I mean, they kept this game close the whole time, kind of had it, 10, 14 points away. But if you look at the rebounding, the Wizards out-rebounded them 56 to 31. So, as the Kings, you're never going to win a game when you get out-rebounded like that. And I've noticed the Wizards, they play 3 centers throughout the game, Gafford, Len, and Captain Hook. And a lot of teams that play small just don't counter with a guy who can take on whatever center the Wizards have in the game. And, so you'll get rebounding deficits like that, but also the centers have put up a lot of points for the Wizards. And I think it's old school ball, but I think it gives them an advantage against a lot of teams. And it's a good problem to have 3 guys that can play.
I like the Captain Hook. I hadn't heard that one before. He's actually in the game right now, Robin Lopez. He's played much better since the hair has gotten like tied back. I feel like when it was flopping all over the place, he wasn't playing as well. So
Got his eyes, probably.
yeah, exactly. So the Wizards are up right now, 116, 105, 220 left. It's OKC ball. So that's why I had the live score up there. Let's get into the next game, which is the Pelicans one. This game, pretty even all throughout. The Wizards were kind of down. They were able to force it into overtime, and then were able to win it by overtime. Where I just felt like in this game, Russell Westbrook kind of took over at the end. He was 1 assist shy of a triple double. For him. So it's 15, 9, and 36. But we needed all those points, and he was a big factor in the fourth quarter and in overtime. Bradley Beal had 30. Arun, what were some of your thoughts on this game?
Beal, he did have 30, but he took him 29 shots to get to 30 points. Rui only had 6 points, which was disappointing. Russell Westbrook, you're right, he did come through to the end of the game, especially the free throws. I don't know if it was really a foul, but Zion didn't really argue, so maybe he got him on the elbow. And Gafford was great in this game. He had 4 blocks and his career high, with the Wizards anyways, 18 points. Overall, they held Zion Williamson 50% from the field, and he's shooting 80 or 90% against most teams. So overall, the Wizards actually played really good defense in this one, even though I think they actually could have come away with the win in regulation, but it's nice. A win is a win, and another win against the Western Conference team.
So they're saying Russell Westbrook has 26 triple doubles, 36 point assists, double doubles, and then he had. I lost it, but I think they had the most, had so many games in a row. Was it 21? I just missed the stat, but games in a row where he's had a double-double. So, he just misses it in one statistical category, but he almost always has it in 2, which is still very impressive. And right now, we're just a half a game out of 10th place, which is that final spot. Captain Hook, as Tim affectionately called him, just made a big shot to kind of, well, I don't know if it will seal the deal, but it puts him up 11 with a minute 11 left. So it should be the dagger, but you never know with the Wizards. So I don't want to call it too soon, but it was a big play nonetheless. So I just want to let people know about that. Brian, what are your thoughts on this New Orleans game?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because the Wizards actually played the Pelicans. The Knicks actually played the Pelicans twice this week, and the Wizards game was in between that. So I actually think I saw a lot of the Pelicans this week, and I actually think they have a lot of talent on their team between Zion and Ingram, and Lonzo Ball's a nice player too. But I just think they're young and they're kind of going through some growing pains. They're in a tough Western Conference. When they all piece it together, I think the Pelicans will be a really good team in the West. But this was, another good win for the Wizards. We want to keep the momentum going as much as possible. It's good after a long road trip to come back home and to get a win like this and start the homestand off right. Yeah, good win for the Wizards.
Awesome. Tim, any final thoughts on this one before we move into the last game?
I'll just say real quick, I think this is a game that the Wizards would have lost early in the season, mostly because Westbrook wasn't healthy and he played a big part in this game, but I just think they're a more confident team and have the rotations a little bit better. So this was a nice win to see when you could totally see it slipping away at the end.
Yeah, Westbrook just got fouled. He has 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 17 assists. So he squeaked another one in, right? So
Cassius Winston's in, so the game is officially over.
Right, 119 to 107. He made some free throws there. We just got a rebound. and that'll be the game. There's 40 seconds left, 20 on the shot clock, but they're just going to probably get it all the way down, and I would assume just shoot a shot. But yeah, this is a good win for the Wizards. I mean, the Thunder have been reeling lately, and the Wizards have been on fire.
It's 11 straight losses for the Thunder.
Yeah, so this is what had to happen, but at the same time,